This is a reading video for Magi, The Adventures of Sinbad, the finale, the final three episodes, 11, 12, and 13. Click in the link description below to go watch my reaction and then come back here to see my full thoughts and ideas and theories and the overall kind of feel that I had for Adventures of Sinbad. So click away now or be spoiled as to what happened in these episodes. Alrighty then. So, we have Troy joining us for this one. We actually had enough time for both of us to be in, like awake and not busy and so on and so forth to be around. So he left us with this lovely picture of what Sinbad carried on to the actual show. Lovely. Huh? Yeah, it's so the leaf is like almost exactly the same. I think yeah, I think it's the same. Yeah, he had the three stem leaf, and then the others just had like one leaf. Or what I remember, I remember that for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, so that was a funny thing about this OVA or whatever like that. Like they kind of brought that back, which is really funny. But yeah, so overall, this set was really cool. We got to see a whole society of females and everything like that, like or female driven, I should say, not just females. There are men, but they're kind of not in the forefront of the society kind of thing. So it was basically like a flip flop society in the terms of like where we're used to how like men are the more prominent ones in like in the leadership positions and so on and so forth, and the women take care of like the household, the children, and so on and so forth. But in this society, it's the exact opposite. So the women are in like the leadership positions and so on and so forth, and the men are left to go do all the other stuff basically, and then even. Help with gaining or getting jewels or something like that, like whatever they were doing in the chasm, like throwing the meat down, and the meat would like I would suspect like slam against the sides of the valley as it's going down to collect all the gems from them, and then the birds come in and swoop them up, bring it back up, and then the gems are like in there, and they just kind of pluck them out, which is pretty smart. But at the same time, a little bit like unorthodox. Wasting a lot of meat for some exactly like the wasting the meat thing, but also at the same time, like why not just fly down there like on a bird and like just like sort of like mining the whole stuff like by yourself? Like that would take that's way more easier than like chucking some meat down and then waiting like however long for the birds to come swoop down and grab them, kind of thing. It's just, I mean, Sinbad. Sinbad, I can't remember the redhead guy's name again. But Sinbad, him, and shoot, why am I forgetting his name too? uh, Jafar. There we go. I didn't write his name down because his name is like in the old Aladdin stories that like Disney and so on and so forth. Jafar is one of the names that like are prominent. So I didn't write it down because I was gonna be like, yep, that's a name that I could always remember, but like for some reason I just forgot about it. So Mistras is what Tri thinks. So probably him. The older brother of the two, basically. I did point out in my reaction my mistake in thinking that the older brother was the one of the generals that we've seen in the future. He ends up being later on the younger brother, kind of thing. So we didn't get to see that whole thing, basically, the younger brother coming into the fold, effectively. Also, we never got to see. Uh, Yeah, exactly. Or I was thinking maybe some of these characters that we've seen in this like alliance, kind of thing in the Syndria faction or like that. All these people we've seen in the OVA, um, it seems like they've either been promoted to kind of like a uh, some kind of like information gatherer, or like for instance with the assassins, the two assassins that they left at Rem to like help like maintain the whole place when they're gone. Those two guys, like the guy with the whole like covering his face kind of thing. He's the big bulky guy, and then the one who was ended up being in charge of all the finances when the one girl left with the baby. Like those two people, the assassins. I would definitely think those two are on like reconnaissance somewhere for Syndria, like in on behalf of Syndria. They're like out there being assassins, kind of thing. We're not like killing people, probably. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on the good mood of Syndria, I guess. But I would assume that those guys are off like being stealthy somewhere and like intel gathering, so on and so forth. Because I don't think we've seen them in the actual show. With the rest of Syndria and everything. Try pointed out once before as well that the son of the two tall people from the northern tribe that we ended up getting quite recently, well, not recently, but a little while ago. That we actually saw a son in Syndria when Aladdin and Alibaba and Morgiana all went there to like help or hang out, I guess, with Syndria to kind of like learn about the society and so on and so forth. So actually, we actually did see the son. He kind of ran by for like a couple seconds, kind of like that. So he wasn't there for long by any means, but we did see him. So it, it would be interesting to know if the other people a part of this OVA, kind of like the assassins and the one girl who is the representative of the female society. If she is somewhere in the story as well, just kind of like off in the corner, like off on one of the sides of the screens, kind of like that. Like I'm wondering if like for some reason like they actually like because I know like the Labyrinth of Magic was like the first to come out, I believe, correct, if I'm not mistaken. Like the Labyrinth of Magic was the first of Magi, and then it went on to the Kingdom of Magic, and then after that is like this OVA series, kind of like spin-off thing with the Adventures of Sinbad. So the Adventures of Sinbad was the third, in the series, kind of like the third like branch, effectively. So it would be kind of a little bit strange to have in the first branch have all these characters in the far background, like well detailed characters that you never touch on, and then finally in the third branch of the series actually touch on the characters kind of a bit. But it would be interesting to see if that was the case. Like if we go back to the Labyrinth of Magic, like looking back at all the Syndria stuff like that, and seeing these characters that we've seen in the Adventures of Sinbad, like just like out and about, just like in Syndria, kind of thing like that. That would be really interested or interesting to know. Would you prefer to watch this Sinbad anime before Magi? I don't think so. No, I think it was I think it was good to watch it in this order. Because I found it really interesting knowing what happens, right? Like knowing that Syndria is like this kind of big bustling nation, everything like that. Like from the Labyrinth of Magic and everything like that. Wait, we've seen like what they became, and then of course in the Kingdom of Magic we saw like even more so because we saw all of, like the help and all kinds of like that. Like when Sinbad asked for like guidance from like all across like all the allied nations, something that came with Syndria, the Syndria nation or whatever you want to call them. They all came together to fight, the big bad monster, basically. And I do want to. Can you real quick look up a picture of all of those helpers that came about that we've seen back then, because I want to like kind of just like go back and like look at all of them, because like they were all like super super freaking detailed characters, and I was out of nowhere I was just like, why do they to put so much detail in all these leaders or like your level that we've never seen before, but then like in Adventures of Sinbad we actually get to see them, well not all of them, but we got to see a lot of them, I'm pretty sure. I don't think all the leaders, or I'm pretty sure all the leaders had some kind of like gin equipped, sort of. Obviously they did, but I think the dad of the Frozen world. Oh, there you go. Oh, that doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't help too much on the Discord. But so there you have it. So there's the batch of like specialists, the leaders of all the different nations, under the Syndria banner or alliance or what I want to call them. So I'm pretty sure the one girl was there that we saw in this batch, the leader of the Women's Society. We never got to see the Egypt nation. That was later on. Okay, there we go. So that's a different thing like that. I remember see. Yeah, I remember her now. Yeah, because I remember pointing it out. Like she had three heads or something like that. Or I remembered her having three heads in when we watched Kingdom of Magic, and I remembered. Did I say something about it? I think I meant I briefly said like, "Ooh, she's cool" or something like that. I can't remember what I said. But yeah, so she's there. Um, or having three faces. Yeah, I remember something like that. But yeah, she's really cool. And then is that the dad with the shield ability like way behind him? Why is he hiding his face? Like that's weird. Like he's literally hiding his face back there. Um, or is that like one of the generals or something like that of that leader? It might be the guy in the back who's like holding his sword like up to his face, kind of thing like that, in the background. Might be just one of the guards. Yeah, it makes sense for him to be the horse, basically. Yeah, because we never saw his Jin equipped. He never actually fulfilled that side of like power, or he never acceded that power, kind of thing like that. So we never saw his Jin equipped, but it makes sense for him to be the horse guy. But it just looked like the guy in the back might have been. If you look at the manga picture, he's in the right. Ooh, let me look. Actually, let me look at this like full screen because on Discord it's a little small. Ah, okay. I see now. I see. I see. Um, let's see. Yeah. Okay. So I do see the leader, the guy with the big kind of anyway the horse guy, but he's in a different kind of pose. He's not the horse guy in this picture. And the manga, he's just like a knight in armor kind of thing, like holding the lance in his hand. I see the Anubis dude there. There's a guy who's Anubis in the background behind the snake guy. Um, Damn, that's a big cobra too as well. And then the two guys like behind him with like the snake or the cobra kind of hoods as well. Those guys are awesome. Um, Man, there's a lot of cool guys. Is that like um shoot? Like, why am I forgetting that name of all things? The three-headed dog, Cerberus. Um, so it looks like Cerberus in the back, but at the same time, like it didn't look like that. Like it's a little different. Jun equipped, the Jun equipped form. Uh, Darius becomes much younger, and his hair is straight, and has an ornament on his right side of the head. Okay, I see that. Like it looks like one of those feathers that the girls have. He wears a full dark armor without helmet and seems to be riding a dark horse with dark armor. Interesting. So that's like the difference between the manga and this kind of thing like that, like something they changed. I'm assuming in the actual anime versus the actual manga, because like I said, the manga looks like he's just like a dude in like knight's armor, like holding a lance, kind of think that. So. Well, in the manga pick, they aren't using their full equips. Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, it, would the I think the ice faction or whatever to call them. I think the dad is like in equip mode because if you look at him, he's got like four arms and he's like super buff and like just massive. Uh, he looks like he's in like a gin equipped form kind of thing like that. But yeah, I guess. But yeah, that's true. They're all kind of like normal mode right now. Like for instance, this picture that you see here of the half and half like angel darkness kind of or angel devil sort of like half guy. He's the actual guy from Egypt. He's the leader of Egypt, I'm assuming, because he has the gigantic cobra over his body, and then when they Jin equipped, the cobra almost like literally like melds with him together, and they make like that character. I remember pointing that out too in my reaction when I was watching the Kingdom of Magic. Um, but yeah, the manga is pretty cool. Like we actually see like a lot of cool stuff in the background. We do get to see the Cerberus kind of looking character, even though the person who is deemed Cerberus is the lady in the front, which I'm talking about this picture right here. About like the manga picture basically. But yeah, it's a pretty cool image. There's a lot of really cool stuff in the background to the actual image. But yeah, it's very cool. So all in all, this set was pretty cool. It was very very cool, interesting to kind of learn about this new society, kind of think that the new faction. I'm a little sad that we got to miss a lot of the other factions that ended up joining the alliance later on, like the Egyptian faction, and probably one other. I guess in that case, it would be one of the what are they called? Shoot, the redheads. Shoot, what are the redhead warriors called again? Uh, Finally, sorry. Yeah, we're both like, oh, it's just like, yeah, the Fawnleys. There's the Fawnleys general that joined Sinbad's army later on. We saw a hint of that at the after credit scene as well. Of him like in the arena. It looked almost like at the Rem Empire, because Rem Empire seems to have like a lot of Fawnleys warriors in the arenas. So I'm assuming they break him out or talk with Shahrazad to maybe get him as a representative of Rem, kind of like that. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. It's there's a lot of stuff that goes down way later on, because he's 16 in this like OVA basically. And when we see him, he's like definitely like in his late 20s to maybe 30s. Like I would think, maybe just 20s. Shout out to Judar for being there for 2 seconds. That's very true. The opening had him in the opening like just like hinting like, oh, there's Judar, like kind of thing constantly, and then we like never saw him until like the after credit scene of him walking down like a thing with like one of the Altharman priests behind him. So it's just like, what's the point? I feel like maybe they cut out some stuff. Maybe they assumed they were going to get around to it, but they ended up stopping short, or having to speed the story up to like stop it, kind of thing like that. Maybe that's my assumption of maybe what happened. But you'd think like when they made the opening, they kind of understand how far they'd get. But who knows? I'm not sure. But that's kind of like what I'm assuming is like they were about to, or they were planning on doing more with the story, but then ended up just stopping short, and doing like a kind of a one-off kind of after credit scene kind of that, like just showing all the different bits that they might have missed, kind of thing like that. But overall, like I said, what they showed was pretty awesome and everything like that. I would have liked to know more about all the different other dungeons and Jin equips and how he acquired Jin equips and so on and so forth from all the different dungeons he's had, or he's come in contact with. But I'm assuming just like he's gradually got them over the course of his time growing up and to what he is in the Labyrinth of Magic and such. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, also it's like a lot of the characters that we've known in the Labyrinth of Magic don't actually show up properly uh, in uh, Adventures of Sinbad. We just kind of like get characters off and on. Like for instance, the one girl in Labyrinth of Magic that's part of Sinbad's army, the one that can talk to animals and such. She wasn't really like a thing like in these episodes. Like I was hoping like maybe a little bit more about her, but um, I guess just overall she's gifted in the arts of like talking to animals or communicating or like that to animals, and even the leader of the people even mentioned that as well. um yeah, at least we got to see the gin equip for the dog, the dog gin, which is really really cool. And his like ultimate like ability, not ultimate ability but like his main ability to like literally like teleport. Essentially, it's not really teleporting, but um it seems like teleporting because like he basically makes him slow enough that he moves fast enough so it looks like he's literally teleporting. So that is really interesting how that power works, and it makes so much sense too because when we actually were at the tower to acquire that gin, he set forth a test to like the first person to capture the animal basically is the chosen king. And then the animal just always got away from them really easily, like very almost like it was toying with them basically. uh, so it made sense for his gin equipped on that gin to be very fast and agile and so on and so forth. So that's really cool. I like that that equipped a lot, with the six tails as well. With it reminds me a lot of like Naruto or like that, and other shows that do kind of like cat dog sort of morphs, wolf morphs, or whatever. It was like what was the other one, like Inuyasha was another like anime when I was growing up, like on Cartoon Network and stuff like that had like a kind of like a wolf multi-tail guy or like that. I think I had multi-tails. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But it was a cool gin equip for sure. Her Cerberus form is pretty powerful too as well, and it just so happens that like one of the heads was lightning, one of the heads was ice, and her main form was fire. Like, what are the odds that that was like the case here? Other than to show that um, the lightning gin equip that he had was useless against her, and then moving to the wolf gin equipped, with the ice basically, that also was useless against her. And then just enough to kind of boast that like you can't touch me, sort of haha kind of thing like that, and then he goes on to like defeat her with like a different ability that he has kind of thing. It was almost the same way how he dealt with the Knights leader, basically the one who had like the bubble shield, effectively. Couldn't pierce it either side, couldn't touch him whatsoever. And then kind of like it was almost like playing with them, like just like testing their abilities almost, and then like then the gloves are off. Like, all right, I've had enough play, and then just immediately defeating them, like almost immediately. Like especially the leader of the knights, because like he actually took the lightning sword, pointed it at like a near like a distant like valley or mountain range, and just annihilated it like instantly. That was the coolest freaking thing that Sinbad has ever done, and it's a spectacle to behold because like I bet you that's still like that. Obviously, it's like that still. Um, I hope Sinbad pays for this. Well, it's not property. I mean, it's like environmental damage, but it's not property damage. Because he wasn't aiming at the city. He was aiming just at like the mountain range. But I guess you can't really be sure if anyone wasn't living on the mountain, I guess. But yeah, someone might own the mountain range. I guess in a way he did. The king did. The king owned that mountain range. Because it seemed to be a very close to actual city, so his territory, he owned it. But anyways, I thought all in all, the Adventures of Sinbad was very cool. Like I said, always, I wish they kind of went into more about Sinbad and more of the stuff that we've kind of come to know about Sinbad, like his gin equips and how he acquired his gin and so on and so forth, like that kind of stuff. Also stuff about the generals, like a little bit more, the ones that are actually like that we've seen in Labyrinth of Magic, more about them, and how they ended up joining the alliance and so on and so forth. That kind of stuff would have been cool, but sadly we just saw the kind of the first stage leading into like, you know, Sinbad's creation of Sindia. Um, but yeah, it was very very cool. The whole bit too with them being trapped in the valley down below, the Valley of Death or whatever they call them, that was a hilarious like bit of circumstances. Them literally like giving up on like getting out and they just like live there. Like apparently they found enough wood and leaves and all that kind of stuff to make a hut and like all these different things like hunting snakes for food and driftwood for like, you know, building material and so on and so forth. That was just super freaking silly. Like that whole sequence was just like, I feel like that was probably more so fan service for the female side of the of fans, kind of thing like that. Like the male audience always has fan service on many anime, but that seemed like maybe fan service towards the female side of the audience, and I guess males as well if you're into it. But yeah, it just seemed like a lot of like just silliness and fan servicey kind of stuff. Um, let's see. Yeah, like how yeah. So Trey says I like how Sinbad admitted some of the meat was spoiled, but still ate it. I mean, that yeah. If it's like usually with meat, you can just cut off like the spoiled stuff. But if it's like rotten all the way through, like yeah, it makes it like just like a throwing up on like off screen kind of thing. Um, and maybe it was aimed at you too, since you already said it was left. I mean, you said it was lovely, but it was an interesting set of episodes for sure. Um, I loved how they constantly did the trope of like the whole thing about like them like uh, yelling at each other and so on and so forth, like back and forth, you know, kind of thing that, and then it just like in a snap, just like hard cut to like this incredibly drawn, like super like overly detailed scene with like the god rays of like the sun like shooting over and they're like, we need to get out of here. Like they're super serious. Like those bits were hilarious. It happened way more than once. And like it was like 5 or 6 times it happened. It was silly and it was a lot of fun to watch. But is there anything that I remember you loved a similar thing in Konosuba. Yeah, I love that kind of aspect of like they're just doing something randomly, and then all of a sudden it just hard cuts to like a super well detailed shot of like them being heroic, or out of like either like comedic effect or just being super serious out of nowhere. Is like just funny to me. I don't know why. But is there anything that I should touch on about these set of episodes, as well as maybe all of AOS that I might have not touched on, that you know try? Is there anything that I should mention? Season 2 never? What does that mean? Season 2 as in the Kingdom of Magic? Or season 2 of oh, of AOS. so is that just like a fact? Like they're never gonna make any more kind of thing. Aw, season 3 of Magi is probably never coming. That's sad. Magi is a pretty cool series. I liked it a lot. The whole thing is pretty awesome. I mean, I know they kind of in a way defeated the main boss already, kind of thing like that. They've stopped him, but I know there's more to it. Um, well, Magi's last season was like 4 years ago. Still no announcements, and the manga ended a while ago. I see. Did they already cover all the stuff in the manga? Or was stuff left out, or was the full story like animated? Manga is done. Okay, there's more in the manga. Okay, interesting. Like enough for like another season, or interesting. Very interesting. Interesting. Well, maybe we'll might get something later on the line. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Depends. But I had a lot of fun with Magi. It was really really fun. Um, the show definitely did hook me like immediately. When we first saw Aladdin do like magical things kind of like that, and like the whole world in general was really cool. Like it was well designed and storytelling was on point. And I did love actually that they time skipped a lot of times. They actually like, one episode to the next was like a time skip. A lot of animes kind of well yeah a lot of animes don't really do that. They just kind of they either don't tell you that they're time skipping and they kind of just skip like a couple weeks ahead and then they continue on like normal, or they go day to day and it's just kind of like a long kind of drawn out like each day is an episode kind of thing like that. Um, but it was really interesting to have time skips with throughout Magi and everything. Like with Aladdin going through the Kingdom of Magic season, him going through the training of the academy and everything. Like him, like one episode he's like the noob of like the academy, like trying to train up, and like next episode he's like a couple weeks later or like a month later, and he's like a little bit more powerful and he's like getting used to his like abilities, and then another time skip and he's already graduated in a sense, kind of like that, and he's ready to go out into the world. So that kind of stuff is really cool. Not dwelling on like each and every single individual like day to day like thing that he did, just like kind of like yep, these are the interesting bits and moving on, kind of like that, like stuff like that is really cool, and the storytelling, like you said, yeah, is really good. World building is fantastic as well, and I do like how it's effectively Earth, right? But it's just like their names are different. So like it's like the one faction or the race, I should say, or I guess race faction. The one faction that lives in the deserts is like basically Egypt, right? Kind of that. And then the Rem Empire is as Rome, effectively. So it's like the Edalist version of our world. Effectively, yeah, I guess in a way, it's like the story version of like our world, yeah, because like everyone's like it's like opposite of our world in a way, but with magic. It's like yeah, um, in a way, wouldn't we technically be the Edalist version of that world? Because I don't know. I don't want to go too much into like fairy tale stuff, but um, just for the people who haven't seen it. But I mean, yeah, it's just like an alternate world. Um, yeah, our world size. Yeah, so if they do another season or something like that later down the line, I will for sure do it. So don't worry. For the people asking, are gonna do it? Are gonna do it? Don't worry. I will do it if it does come about doing a thing like that. So, uh, yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this series. It's been a lot of interesting and exciting adventure all throughout. Combat is awesome all the way throughout. The Jin equips and so on and so forth are very very fun. Go fund me for for season 3. Yeah, it would be cool. But is there anything else we should mention, talk about, so on and so forth? About Magi in general. I feel like we touched on a lot of stuff. Kind of like a lot of it. Yeah. I can't think of anything, but we're good here. Uh, we'll think of something. Yeah. Obviously, we always do that. We're always like, all right, I think we're done here, and then we end the redirect, and then like me and Tread go back into a call, and we're like, oh yeah, we didn't talk about that, kind of thing. It happens. So if there's anything that you'd like to bring up, your favorite bits of the entirety of the Magi series, all seasons, the Labyrinth of Magic, the Kingdom, Labyrinth of Magic, Kingdom of Magic, and the Adventures of Sinbad. Out of all those bits, which one of those series, like series 1, 2, 3, if you recall about that one, or season 1, 2, and then like the spin-off OVA, kind of like that. Which one of those were your favorite? Your favorite character, your favorite villain, so on and so forth. All that kind of stuff is always fun to talk about. So let me know down below what you guys thought of Magi as a whole and everything like that, and we'll basically get to the next show in the running. Basically, right now as well, I can check real quick to get another glimpse at the current poll. The show that's going to replace the show. The poll ends tomorrow, so it's not decided yet. But it's going to end tomorrow. But it's at like a 10% lead right now in terms of votes. And it looks like it's going to be from the New World anime. But who knows? There's like 20 some odd hours left in the poll. Stuff might happen. People might change votes. Who knows? It has happened in the past, so there's no time. There's no way to tell for sure what's going to happen. If it's going to stay like that or change, alter. Who knows? But we shall know by tomorrow what the actual show is going to be, and that show is going to replace this slot in my recording sessions and such. So. Yeah, plus next week I'm also starting up Noragami as well on Mondays. So we have Monday and Wednesday, both new shows effectively next week. So a lot of fun stuff. So yeah. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys here. And like I said, if anything starts up for Magi again, I will for sure do it. Don't worry. And with that, I shall leave you. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a heck of a ride for Magi. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in one of my many other shows on my channel. Take care, buddy.